raced Ford Cortinas and Anglias and all that sort of thing. And I did oval track. But a very good friend of mine, Brian Evans, he was a Renault man from the word go. And we used to race against each other, and he was good. And, his Renaults, they used to annoy me because they were so bloody good. And especially on the dirt, because engine at the back-wheel drive,
okay,
they got the traction.
Yeah.
Where the Ford's the engine in the front, they would just spin the wheels. And when we raced on oval track, it was on gravel, cinder track.
Yeah.
And he would always get the jump on me with this Renault, and it used to annoy me. And I used to chase him. And the Ford was quicker in a straight line.
Yeah.
And I would catch him, and then round the corners he'd leave me again. And it went on like this for years. And then he moved to South Africa, and I moved shortly afterwards. And I sold all my race cars in Rhodesia. And when I came to South Africa, Brian came to me and he said, where's your race car? And I said, no, I sold him. So he said, so what are you going to do? I said, I don't know, maybe I'll get a race car one day. And he said, come. We went outside and he had an R10 on a trailer. And he said,
there's your car.
And I said, me race a Renault. And he said, come on. And he said, no. And I said, okay, let me try it. And anyway, he said, it's his car, but I can take it because he had another race car. And he said, you race it, do whatever you have to do with it. And I took the car and I raced it as I got it from him.
Mm-hmm.
And it wasn't that quick. It was mediocre. And then I said to him, I want to modify this a bit more. I want to do some work. And he said, do whatever you have to do. Do it. And I modified it and got it going. And I really, that was that, not the one you saw in the picture, because I wrote that original one I wrote off.
Okay.
But one very similar. And I raced it and I got to love it. And he said, yeah, you see, I told you to leave those Fords alone. And that's how I got into Renault. And then after I raced it for about 2 years, I said to him one day, I said, I want to buy this car from you. He said, what are you talking about? It's your car.
Oh.
He'd acquired it. Somebody owed him money or something, and he acquired the car.
And he didn't really?
And he had other cars, so he said, no, he said, it's yours. He said, you've put so much money into it already and modified it so much.
But he's got a buddy now.
Yeah. And I wrote it off actually in Fikisa.
Oh, in Welkom.
Welkom.
Yeah.
I was chasing another car. We were in hot pursuit. And we came up on a much slower car.
Yeah.
And he moved across. He saw the car behind him, and he moved across to let through. And he let the one car through, and he moved back.
Yeah.
He didn't realize I was right there on his tail. And he bumped me, and I went off the track and spun, and it went backwards into the Armco and flipped over the Armco.
Oh.
And the car was a write-off. But I brought that car back. The remains.
Yeah.
And I bought another R10 body.
Yeah.
A car. And I transferred all the good stuff, the engine and suspension, onto the new car. But it was, the original one was a 1100, which had the round headlights.
Mm-hmm.
And I couldn't find another early model like that. And the later R10 had oblong headlights.
Okay.
So I had the later model body. And then I transferred everything over onto that car.
Okay.
And then I carried on. I painted it the same color, same number. A lot of people didn't even realize it wasn't the same car. No. Only the people that really knew Renault and said, that's got the oval lights, not the round lights. That knew.
Yeah, it's something.
The 1100 was the round light, and the one with the oval lights was the 1300.
Okay.
But of course, I'd put the 1600 motor in. Yeah. Start racing.
Yeah.
They said, what car should I buy? You know, I want to start racing historic cars. Buy an Alpha. Although I never raced an Alpha, because to me the challenge was to beat an Alpha.
Oh.
It was something else.
Okay.
But if you know nothing about cars and you want to go and race a car, buy an Alpha, because it's already done.
All the work.
It's already got the performance, it's got the brakes, it's got the handling, it's got everything else.
Okay.
So the car to beat is an Alpha.
All right.
And I want to beat it with something else, not with an Alpha.
Yeah. Yeah. Makes sense. I must tell you, I love that Alpha. A red one. I had a red one.
Yeah.
I love that car.
But you know, it's got everything. It's got the handling, it's got the brakes, it's got everything of you know, from an historic car. If you took an Alpha of the 60s,
Yeah.
what other production car could you buy to
match
compete
it.
against it?
Yeah.
Nothing.
Okay.
Unless you bought a Mazda RX-7 or something.
Yeah.
That was the only sort of production car that could compete with an Alpha.
Yo. Yeah, the stories I heard about the Alphas,
Yeah,
they always say also a guy that if he buys an Alpha, he'll always be an Alpha man.
yeah, yeah. And this is another program. One of the programs, I don't know what's in here, you can go through it and see. Bigger pistons, and they converted the head to a full Hemi because it was only a half Hemi.
Okay.
And so I decided that I'm going to build this to Alpine specs.
All right.
So I imported all the stuff from France, the valves, the pistons, the liners, the gaskets, everything. And but the head, I couldn't get an Alpine head. They didn't have. So I said, I'll make my own. So I took a normal 16 TS head,
Yeah.
and I modified it to Alpine specs.
Yeah.
I machined it out and put the bigger valves in and ported it and everything. And this was some of the calculations we did when we were building the engine to that Alpine spec. The piston size, it went up to an 82.2 bore, and you know, all that sort of thing. And it took it from, they call it a 16 TS, but it's actually 1550 cc.
Okay.
And it took it up to 1750. And it bumped the power up. The rules of the endurance race is you had to have one compulsory pit stop.
Okay.
It was a 45-minute endurance. You had to have one compulsory pit stop where you didn't have to refuel, but you had to be stationary in the pits for 3 minutes.
Okay.
And they didn't stipulate when you had to do it or anything like that. They just said, you know, you had to have a compulsory stop.
Yeah.
And a lot of the overseas guys and a lot of their bigger cars, they would have a driver change.
Okay.
So in that 3 minute, and they would probably have to refuel as well. Some of those big V8s needed to refuel.
Yeah.
But my car would do the 45 minutes on a tank, no problem. And I didn't have another driver change.
You sit and you wait.
So yeah, so I had to just wait for 3 minutes. But in the first lap, there was a big incident, and they brought out the safety car.
Okay.
And I said to my wife, she was my pit crew,
Yeah.
I said, if it's a safety car, I'll be in under the safety car. So the moment the safety car came in, I went into the pits, I waited my 3 minutes, and I went out. And all the other cars stayed out because they wanted to split the 45 minutes. They didn't want a driver change after one lap.
Yeah.
So they stayed out. And of course I came back, boom, right near the front. And in the end I won index of performance, I I want everything. And everybody was looking, and how did this little car get
Happened.
right to the front like that? And then afterwards they analysed it, and they realised what I'd done.
Yeah.
And then they changed the rules the following year. And they said, you can't make your pit stop within the first 15 minutes. And I thought, oh, you know, it's blown my cover. Stop.
Yeah.
So I approached a company in America, Power Brakes. Well, they have a local agent here, but the stuff was made in America.
Okay.
And they asked me for all the particulars, the weight of the car, the front, the back, and then they made me special brake pads.
Okay.
There was different brake pads for the front and the back. And they worked like an absolute dream.
You.
The car stopped, it did everything correctly. But in the end, I used them for a couple of years, and every year I'd order more. Every year they got more expensive. And in the end, it was 1,000 Rand per brake pad. So there's 2, 4, 6, 8. It's 8,000 Rand for brake pads.
You. And how many did you?
You go through a set in 2 sets a year.
You.
And it got to the stage where, you know, I just thought, no, this is too expensive. And I've tried all other local stuff, and nothing worked as well. But I ended up having to use the local stuff.
Yeah, because of
But it didn't stop as well. But that was the particulars they asked for.
Yeah.
Passion for speed. And every year they have it. And they invite overseas people. We got people from Holland, from the UK, from all over. They used to come and race once a year with us.
Yeah.
And some of these you'll find, this is the passion of speed. And you'll find that there are overseas entries in here.
All right.
If you go through it, you'll find that there's people from Holland and England and all over the place.
Yeah, those were the nice years.
Yeah.
But then everything went, you know, speed.
It started off as the David Park. No, it was a friend of mine, Frank Copping. I don't know how he found out, whether he was also a Renault driver, Renault racer.
Okay.
And he phoned me and he said, Terry's car's for sale.
Okay.
And should we buy it?
Okay.
And, you know, at the time I had my R10 and things, and I was quite busy, and I said, well, you know, we can look. And we had a look at it, and we decided to buy it together.
Okay. Okay.
So we bought the car, and we were going to share the car.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then after a couple of weeks, Frank said, I've got a problem. I haven't got the money.
Oh boy.
He did the negotiation and everything.
Yeah.
And then he turned around and said he hasn't got the money.
Yes.
So I said, well, okay, then I'll buy the car. That's Terry again.
Where's Terry now?
He's
died.
passed away.
Normal or accident?
I
Yeah.
think
Or?
a heart attack.
Heart
or
attack.
something. Yeah, he was
He was
also
old.
Yeah.
I can see he was quite an...
I bought it from his widow,
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
not
Okay.
from Terry himself.
Oh, okay.
Terry
Alright.
came
When
sometimes
he-
to Dennis. He
Yeah,
came to you to ask.
No,
to
I
help
helped him a bit with the car. Terry was very good at building the car, but he didn't know much about engines.
Engines, yeah.
And he brought the car to me a couple of times to sort out different problems.
Yeah, yeah.
And because I used to race a Renault R10.
Oh, okay.
And so he knew that I was a Renault guy.
Yeah.
And so he brought this, and I helped him with that. And one of the biggest problems that he had over all the time he had the car, he kept saying it kept overheating. And every time he took it out, he would come in and the thing was boiling its head off. And I tried to help him a few times with small things, but I was also busy with my own
Your
car.
own store.
And then when I got the car, I started having a look at, why this thing keeps overheating. And I discovered that the way he had the airflow,
Yeah.
he had a very big hole on the top here.
No.
The air goes in there
And out.
and it was supposed to go through the radiator and out the top.
But it didn't.
But what was happening is the air was, there was pressure on the top.
Oh, yeah.
And
because of the
so that there were two, the pressure
working
was
against
each other.
Yeah.
So I closed 3/4 of that hole up and just left a slot at the back.
It was Saturday already.
As well, he was when Terry owned it.
Oh. I was just for
Has to be in the book.
Hy's gratis soos ek nie. So dis hoekom ons so goed met mekaar pas, is my man.
Ekskuus, ek gaan nou interrup. Hierdie twee het onlangs getroud. Baie baie
Ek sê altyd hoe meer Bobbejane daar is, hoe meer hoor swing ek. Hy is hoe meer Bobbejane daar is, hoe meer kan ek agter die bome. Maar ongelukkig het sy Louis hom op die spot geplaas. Louis kan ongelukkig nie wees vandag nie. En hy moes dan gevra in elk geval die meer eienaar is om die woorde van Dennis te ontvang. Dennis, you and wisdom is
You still got time to change your mind. Where's the keys?
I think it just need a little bit lower to the car to get the photo into the car. People standing in the bloody car.
Thank you.
A lot of trophies and whatever. I don't know all the history of the car, but Louis bought the car with all the trophies and things, but still he decided to again hand it over to you, trophy. So Gustav's going to hand over the trophy to you. The trophy says Start in Diamonds Face Champions Award, Dennis Macbeth, Mpiti. This car's name is Mpiti. Weet jy hoekom nie? A Renault Classic Racer. Right. Okay, you can talk to the people.
Mpiti means a little buck, and that's why the car was called Mpiti, like a little buck.
Dennis, when did you stop racing?
In 2000, 2020. I had an accident and we couldn't race again.
Okay. Weet jy dan gehoor?
And he made a name for himself on Swartkops and Welkom, Pakisa and a couple of other places. And yeah, Red Star and all of those kind of things. And the beauty of something like this is it's all South African. The whole deal with Krugerskroon and this car was not just the car. It's all Uncle Dennis's trophies. Even the original trailer that the car was transported on, the body molds, everything, the whole complete package is here. So if you want to go racing, speak to Louis, maybe but still. And that is the honor of having something like this in this museum. You guys, I don't know how many of you took a walk down to the museum and you had a look at the cars there. This is an absolute gem to be added to this collection.
Kept her warm when it snowed. So cold, can't take it no more, no more. So cold, can't take it no more. So cold, I can't take it no more. April's just around the bend. The weather's getting better now, and she wants to meet my friends. Some of them are crazy, and others are wild. She looked at me and smiled, but the chill, it started to take my breath away. Give it back. It's so cold, can't take it no more. It's so cold, I can't take it no more. It's so cold, I can't take it anymore. It's so cold.